Hello, Special Needs Mom. Nadine here with yet another episode of the Special Needs Supermom podcast. Today I want to talk about, those days that just suck. Excuse my language, but sometimes really there's no other word for it. Because, bad hospital results, because your kid is just struggling mentally, or, because you worry about the future, anything. And this morning I dropped off Supergirl at college. She lives at home. So I dropped off at college this morning. It's about a 40-minute drive, and she tries to take public transport, but there was a strike, so I dropped her off. And on my way home, I just kept crying. Really, I was really sad. And why? Because, it's first or the second week in for Supergirl, the first real full official college week, school week. And yesterday evening, she was so tired and, a bit sad. She was just lying in her bed, exhausted and Mom, so tired. So much pain. And, so I gave her a massage. She went to sleep. And this morning she said, I already feel that, a lot of the chairs in school are those thin wooden kind of, chairs. So they're really not good for all her classmates complain, but for her, the sitting, makes it just worse. She said, I just can't then we have to sit still for an hour and a half, and during the class I keep stretching, moving, because it gets so painful. And I said to her this morning, did you already take some extra pain medication? So she has an injection for juvenile arthritis, and then she takes a combination of painkiller, muscle relaxer, twice a day at the moment. But she's allowed to take paracetamol several times a day. And she said, yeah, but I don't want to take that yet, because it's only early in the morning and my whole day still has to come. And I dropped her off, and then you're like, she's 16, and dang, it just sucks that she has to deal with this. And as a mom, you just feel the hurt, and really in the end, you just want your kids to be happy. But if they're struggling, mentally or physically, sometimes you have a bad hospital days, that can really have an impact on our mind. Of course it does. But especially if you've been in this game a little bit longer, at a certain moment you kind of tend to just soldier on. Just, just go on. Put on your strong face, just power through it, muscle through it. Because, the chronic fatigue and the chronic pain in Supergirl's case probably doesn't, it's not going away. She's been dealing this with for so many years now. And that's on the moments that the inflammation is down. So can you imagine when it's full on flare-ups everywhere? And she has to find her way, and thankfully there's therapy for that, but it's a big struggle, and you can say to a young girl, I just have to accept it. Really? You just have to accept it? It took me years to accept my asthma and not feeling ashamed using my inhaler in public or anything. And I was way in my adulthood before, I talked about it and didn't feel like a loser because I couldn't, participate in gym like normal people. That I allowed myself to recover after a cold. Well, I never had a cold. My cold always turned into a pneumonia. But I always thought, I'm out of bed now, so I'm good to go again. It doesn't work that way. Anyhow, So you see your kids struggle, and it affects you. And I think it's so important that on days like this, you don't just soldier on, but you allow yourself to feel this way, because there's a bloody good reason. It's not that your kid just has a simple bruise, but it's because they're struggling, or there are some serious issues going on, or you just had a huge meltdown with your kid, or they can't fit in the classroom, and as a mom you're trying to do your best, but it takes a lot of energy, not only physical but especially mentally. So I was driving home, and we were listening to Elton John. It's one of the favorite artists of of Supergirl. We actually went to his concert. That was so cool a few months ago. And there was this song called Blue Eyes. I think I played it like 10 times, and I kept crying in the car driving home. But I just needed to let go of that. And of course, I still needed to do, work and things like that. But on days like this, I allow myself to, grieve about it, because really it is grieving the condition of your kid. You just sometimes just need to take a moment. So, nowadays, on days like this, I allow myself to feel this way. So there's some sad music, there's some crying, and really on those days it's all about, for me, comfort. So I made shitloads of pumpkin spice flavored cookies. So that comfort feeling, that comfort smell of fresh baked cookies. I cuddled longer with my dog. And I cried. And I made sure, and thankfully, having my own business, I can play with my time. So in the old days, if I had hospital mornings, I would still say to a client, "Oh, but I will be home by 2, and we can call then, or I will have your article finished by the end of the day." I'm a copywriter, and nowadays I don't do that anymore. I make sure, I never give a day to my clients saying you will have it on that day. I will give them, you will have it this week. And I normally say end of the week. I normally give them, week 40, you will have it on, the end of the week. And, sometimes it's finished on Monday or Tuesday. That's fine. But that way I allow myself some playtime. That if there are moments that you have to deal with stuff for your kids, you have that playtime. But even if you're a stay-at-home mom, which I have been for years because of my kids, or you work, there are still things I think you can do to give yourself kind of a break, and to allow yourself to just really feel shitty. There's no other word for it. And of course, when you're at work, you have to perform, and it can be a great distraction. That you can focus on something else for a few hours or so. But I still give myself time. If I would have, say, a dinner date with a friend or something, maybe I would cancel or ask, can we do it another day? Or instead of going to the movies or dance, well, I'm almost 50. I don't go to clubs anymore, but instead of doing this happy, fun thing, maybe we can go for a hike or something. What I wanted to say, on days that I just want to cry, really, I make sure I build in comfort things. So I allow myself to feel like, I allow myself to cry. And maybe I will listen to sad songs. And you have a lot of people that say, oh, you just have to think about the happy things, or count your blessings. And be grateful that, in the Netherlands, thankfully, we have a great healthcare system. So there's not a lot of worry around, paying for your hospital bills or medication, stuff like that. Yes, and that's all true. But it doesn't mean you're not allowed to sometimes just, feel shit about a situation or just want to have a good cry. So instead of, of course it's important to count your blessings, but if you just have a bad day, your kid has a bad day, it's totally fine to allow those feelings. And regarding your kid as well, that you don't try to solve the situation and throw happy things at them. On those days that your kid feels like shit or you don't feel great, have a blanket movie day on the couch. Just eat cookies for dinner or a pint of ice cream. Do things for yourself or, or your kid that feels nice. Sometimes you just need that arm on your shoulder. You don't need a solution. You don't need someone pointing out the happy things in your life or the things that go well. Sometimes you just need that arm around your shoulder, saying, acknowledging that it sucks. And that's it. Having a person, not only having a person like a friend that does it for you or your spouse, but also you for your kids and for yourself especially, is so important to do. That you also tell yourself, it's okay to feel shit about a situation. It's okay to cry about it if it's, if it's painful, if it's hurtful. That way, actually, you show your kid as well that it's okay to feel sad. Sometimes. And that it's okay that you, on those days, just be. And, on those days like this, like today, I do comfort things. Well, first I had a really, really good cry and played that song Blue Eyes by Elton John like 10 times. Really, really, really loud in the car. And that was nice to just, well, it sucked that I had to cry and I felt like this, but sometimes it's really nice to just have a good cry. And then, I really needed some good pumpkin spice flavored cookies. I just needed fresh cookies really, and I had a bag, so I made some cookies. But on those days like this, I also, have a nice comfy sweater on sometimes, or put on a lot of candles. Do something that doesn't require a lot of my brain. I can just be. Sometimes that's reading a trashy novel. So often on those days, I need a cuddle. So I will just also say that to my spouse. Today I kind of feel, I just need an arm around my shoulder. That's it. Because if I don't share that, I have a bad day, they can't participate on it. And they can't, I might react snappy or not that enthusiastic. Today it will be, I will be just with everything. I'm like, meh, okay. Not really engaging. So I will let them know. So they know what's going on. And, you don't end up in a fight or, why are you snappy? Why are you doing this? I just have a day like this. And it's totally fine. And the same for your kids as well. So if you have a shitty day, that's totally fine, Mom. I'm really sorry that you feel like this maybe today. But give yourself a break. It's totally okay. Surround yourself with things that comfort you today. And try to maybe minimize things that mentally asks a little bit too much of you on days like this. And if people say, oh, just think happy thoughts, it's totally fine to correct them and saying, actually, no, today I don't need your advice. I just need, chocolate cake or a glass of wine, or just somebody listening and not coming up with solutions. I just need to be. And I think dealing with whatever your kids or you is struggling with, allowing yourself to feel the things is so important in accepting. And from that, if you accept what's going on, it can really help finding and knowing what you need. Not long term, of course also long term, but like I said in the beginning, when I was in the early stages of, I was still working corporate, 2 special needs kids, we were getting all those diagnoses, and still didn't really have the tools to, didn't know what to do or didn't know what to say or how we had to change things. And I just soldiered on. And it's so tiring. And especially now, because now we've been in this game for way longer, I know that sometimes mom just needs a break, or just a good cry. And it's totally fine, and tomorrow is another day. But today it's all about my favorite trousers, my favorite, one of my favorite comfy clothing, my sweaters, pumpkin spice flavored cookies, and probably tonight a really nice glass of wine. So that's the episode of today. I hope it helped you. If you have an advice, do let me know in the comments of the podcast. If you're on YouTube, you can leave a comment, or on my social media. What do you do to, if you have a shitty day, to make it bearable for you, for your kids? Do you do something special? Do you have a ritual? Or, do you just, do you give yourself some time or not? I'm curious to know. So please share. If you don't feel comfortable sharing it on my public Facebook group or Instagram, feel free to send a private message or join the private Facebook group, Special Needs Supermoms, because that's only for special needs moms. Private group, so everybody is safe there, because we're all kind of, no matter the disease or the challenge your kid is facing, because we're all special needs moms, there's no judgment, we kind of understand each other, and that's really nice. So I will share the links to everything in the comments. Feel free to reach out, and I hope you have a nice day. Bye.